Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, The Medieval Reader. So, as you may have noticed, there have been a number of booktubers who have been talking about reader fatigue, feeling frustrated about Goodreads, frustrated that they aren't reading the best books, or they're reading so many good books that now what they used to think were excellent books are now just mediocre. There have been a number of videos. I will try to link below as many as I can find, but the first video that I saw about this was Mercedes at Mercy's Bookish Musings. And I just wanted to talk about my experience with reading. So reading is more or less my job. I'm a graduate student in French. I read a couple books a week, and to be honest, I don't necessarily read absolutely everything that I'm assigned. I read most of everything that I'm assigned, but you just can't balance all of it. I've done a master's before, so I know that you kind of just have to decide to read the works that you are going to write your final papers on, and then read enough of the other books to be able to engage in class discussion. And then there's a master's reading list that I need to know by the end of spring, so there are all those books that I need to also keep in the back of my mind. On Saturdays, I take a day off, generally, unless I have a paper due on Monday, and then I'm not going to take Saturdays off, but I usually take Saturdays off to read other things. BookTube and book blogging are my hobbies. They're where I go to escape from quote-unquote life. I find it really interesting how many booktubers and book bloggers have so much anxiety about their hobby. I know that, for some of the booktubers who have been responding to Mercedes' initial video, and actually probably Mercedes herself, they have so many subscribers that it is almost a part-time job for them. But for the rest of us, and the vast majority of us, it is a hobby. It's not something you necessarily have to do. And I do it because I enjoy it. So from my perspective, it's kind of baffling that so many booktubers have been talking about how much they hate reading, or how much reading is making them feel anxiety, or, I don't know. I suspect it's because they have an enormous TBR, and they don't want to admit it because they don't want to admit that they have a problem, but I will admit I have a problem. I definitely own too many books, too many unread books, and I feel a pressure to get to those books. But that's a book buying problem, and there are a number of ways in which we can work to diminish our TBR. Maybe it is the book haul culture that is causing this, but I don't know, I just feel like behind a lot of this reading problems, controversy, is this unease at having such a massive TBR and feeling the need to read all of these books and then finding them to be so disappointing and having spent all this money. And, I have a feeling that there's something there that's linked to book buying. And the way that I've dealt with it is just not making book haul videos, but I do have a problem with book buying, and it's something that I would like to address more in 2018. But still, it's just surprising that something that's a hobby is causing people so much anxiety. If you don't want to read recently published books, don't. Go read other things. I find it interesting that it has become like school for people, where you are assigned this many books, and you feel like you have to read all of these, otherwise you're not a reader. No, you're a reader if you're reading. Go read things. I personally love critical reading. I know that it's not for everybody, and certainly Goodreads can be not always the most helpful, not always the most representative of the quality of a book, but it's just a hobby, and maybe intersperse some nonfiction, maybe take a break. I made a video earlier talking about how we might not want to tackle bigger books because we don't feel that we can read them in a timely manner, and then our monthly wrap-ups are not as impressive. Don't do monthly wrap-ups. Don't do monthly wrap-ups, don't do book hauls, don't do all the normal stuff if it's causing you so much stress. It's just a hobby. So it's a hobby. If you make good content, if you connect with your audience, if you respond to comments, then isn't that why you got into this? I mean, I understand if this is your part-time job or your full-time job. I completely understand. But for most of us, it's definitely not that. So it's just really weird for me to hear booktubers talking about how much they don't like reading, or how reading books is causing them stress, or they're not reading the kinds of books they want to, or they're reading too many good books, or they're not reading enough good books. No one's forcing you to do this. I don't know. I just have to say that it's just bizarre when I finish school, I've had a really stressful day, I go on BookTube, and a number of booktubers are just complaining about BookTube and how they feel like they have to do X, Y, and Z. It's just fun. It's supposed to be fun. If it's become an incredibly stressful activity, then maybe take a break, do something else, maybe mix it up, maybe stop doing monthly wrap-ups like I said. I don't know. I'm not saying that people don't have a point in their videos. I think that every video has been really enlightening. And certainly, you know, Goodreads is not a good indicator of the quality of a book. I don't like the rating system. At least I would wish there were half-star ratings. Because sometimes I want to give 3.5 stars or 4.5 stars, but even so, I know that Goodreads has a lot of problems. Yes, it's true that we often find ourselves in book slumps, we read contemporary books that aren't very good, whatever. Yes, those are all things that happen, but you're in control of your reading, and unless you're being paid to read certain books, or unless you are working alongside a publishing company and you have to promote X, Y, and Z, read whatever you want. It's too bad that, you know, you're feeling forced to read certain books and then are disappointed that these books aren't good. Maybe you want to read other books. I think if you're really in a slump, or if you're really having a bad experience with reading, go make the videos that you've wanted to make and you haven't been making. You've decided, well, no, I'm supposed to follow this BookTube model, but now's the time to do it. If you're really frustrated and you don't know what else to do, try something new. But I just do not understand all of the anxiety surrounding what should be an activity for people. I don't know. That's my thoughts on all of this. It's a bit annoying to have to see nearly every week, it's almost nearly every week now for the past few months, people talking about something about BookTube they don't like. Again, it's just a hobby, it's fun. Make it fun, okay? Or do something else that's fun. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. This is not a job. This is not a job. Don't make it into a job. Certainly try to push yourself, certainly try to make the content that you're proud of, but this isn't torture. No one's tying you down and forcing you to read something. This isn't like school where you have a reading list you have to get through, and if it's because you have this massive TBR that you're not getting to, then work on trying to reduce that. Stop making book hauls, stop doing wrap-ups, stop doing things that make you feel anxiety, and then you won't feel anxiety, and it will be an escape instead of torture. So that's my reactions to this. I know that I'm probably being a little bit harsh, but this is how I'm feeling right now about all of this. And yeah, that's how I feel. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye now.